because on September the 12th, the Eagles are going to honor the last NFL World Champions, the 1960 Philadelphia Eagles, and they were a great team. And this team is going to be wearing those Kelly green jerseys and the silver helmets, and how about a nice welcome for one of the great tight ends and great people in the history of this entire area, Pete Retzlaff.
Oh, Merrill, you overdid that. We're going to have a reunion of the 1960 team, and it's going to be with the opening game of Green Bay, which is the team we beat to win the championship. That was a great year in all of our history because I think that was the season where the love affair between the fans and the Philadelphia Eagles got started and got kicked off. I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. We opened against Cleveland at Franklin Field, and we got beat 41-24. And then we went to Dallas. That's America's team, you know. And they only put 18,000 people in the Cotton Bowl. And we beat them. We went to St. Louis, and we beat them. And then we played Detroit, and we beat them. And then we went to Cleveland, the team that beat us 41-24 in the opening game. And Bobby Walson kicked a field goal in the last minute, and we won it 31-29. And what was really interesting about that game is that Cleveland at that time held every major category in offense and defense in the National Football League. So we weren't given much of a chance to beat them, and besides they had a sellout crowd. And anyway, we went on to win 9 straight games. And when we came back from St. Louis, winning that 9th straight game, this is the Daily News talking, there were 15,000 people at the airport to greet us when we came home. Now, that's not my figure, but that's the one that the Daily News put out. And those were in the days before you had to get screened to get on the tarmac. And all 15, they surrounded that plane, and we weren't sure how we were going to get off. But that was great because that was the beginning of the love affair between the Philadelphia fans and the Philadelphia Eagles. I really think that we've had a good run. We're looking forward to getting together. It was kind of an interesting team in the sense that they all felt very strongly about their profession, and that's the way they treated it. I'll give you an example. First of all, you never think you're through learning, even after your first or second year. If you made it in this league, you still have a lot to learn. I know I was still learning about the nuances of running pass patterns in the 11th year that I played. But anyway, since that 1960 team, 3 of those players went on to become general managers in the NFL. 5 became NFL head coaches. 11 of them were assistant coaches in the National Football League. 5 of them went to the NCAA Division I college football. And there were 7 of them, and we have one sitting here tonight, that started to make a career out of radio and television commentary. So some of them, of course, there were those who made scouts and made personnel changes and things like that. But it was a great team. We developed a very close social bond, which still exists today. And on the 12th of September, we're going to be really having a good time making reacquaintances. And most of us have talked to each other on the phone and through email ever since. But there are questions or two that I can take from you. First of all, I want to see a show of hands if I can. How many of you were at the game in 1960 at Franklin Field? 1, 2, 3. Come on, and nobody over here. Okay. Well, thank you thank you very much because you contributed to the check that we got, which was $5,200. By today's standards, I guess that's not even worth mentioning. But anyway, it was a great place to play football. We started with 56 fans in the stand at Franklin Field. The second game we played in Dallas, there were 18,000, as I mentioned before. Then we started to win. We beat St. Louis, 33,000 fans. And then we were home against Detroit, and we had 38,000 fans. And then after coming back from Cleveland with another win, we played Pittsburgh at home, and we were up to 60,000 fans, and they've never looked back. So we've had a lot of fun.
I have a question. We are all very optimistic about Kevin Cobb. And we've seen some great quarterbacks come through this franchise. Of course, Ron Jaworski led the Eagles to the Super Bowl after the 1980 season. And when people say to me, who's the most amazing athlete you have ever seen over all of these years? I quickly say Randall Cunningham. He did things that you couldn't even imagine a quarterback doing, and you all remember Randall Cunningham. So I asked Pete, how different is the role of the quarterback today? Because you had a quarterback, Norm Van Brocklin, who was crusty, nasty, tough, and called his own play and ran that team. If you would, give us some insight into what Norm Van Brocklin was all about, and are guys like Peyton Manning today closer to Van Brocklin than anybody else?
Well, I don't know about Peyton Manning. I don't think anybody got very close to Van Brocklin, including the players. I will just give you an example of the stature that he held on our team. When we were at training camp, and Coach Buck Shaw would put a new play up on the blackboard for a game coming, and when he finished explaining why it was there, what we were supposed to do, he would turn to Van Brocklin, sitting down with the rest of us, and say, "Is that okay with you, Dutch?" So that, you knew that he had some authority. And as a matter of fact, he had the authority, if you weren't producing, to send you to the bench. And we knew that. We had an offensive lineman, I won't mention any names, that stuttered. He just couldn't, you know. So anyway, he screwed up, and Van Brocklin got whacked pretty good. So we get back in the huddle, and Dutch turns to this lineman and said, "What in the world happened?" And he started to say, "Well, I was just thinking that I thought." And Van Brocklin stopped him and said, "Quit thinking. You weaken the ball club when you think."
Pete, thank you very, very much.